He goes to school, he has no behavior issues, it's only that the words are not there. So he was a silent boy, and I didn't know what to do with him. So I took up a course to do with autism, with Autism Society of Kenya. So I did the course, and then at the end of the course, I looked at it and I was like, no, this is not my son's condition. So what is it? Because it's different. Because you see, when you see autism, they have all these behavioral issues.
Yeah.
My son had any behavioral issues. Yeah. So I still continue looking for answers. And then I stumbled on something, dyslexia.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to Masaku Features Podcast. We are glad that you could be able to join us today. We have an amazing and incredible conversation lined up for you, and you definitely do not want to miss out on this. My name is Irene Ngele, your host, and today's guest is a teacher and also a dyslexia mom. Her work apparently touches every family in this nation. Let's say most families in our nation, and unfortunately, most of them do not even know that this kind of help exists. So without much further ado, let's get right into it. Noel, welcome very much to Masaku Features Podcast. We are happy to have you. Now, before we get into speaking about your work, please introduce yourself briefly. Tell us about where you grew up and how the experience was like for you, and tell us who you are.
Thank you so much, Irene. It's a privilege actually to be here. I've always wanted to reach families, to let them know who I am and what I do and the impact or the value of my practices into the education industry. So thank you so much to the Masaku Features. Yes, so I am a teacher, yes, general classroom teacher. I have done all those practices where you start from going into teacher training and all that. I've done that. I've done P1. I have done Bachelor of Education Arts in KU. Okay. And then I grew up in Kakamega County, and I think I feel like there's a very big difference between the education now and that time. Because as much as it was 844 system, there are so many things that actually they feel different if you compare either of the two. But what sent me to where I am right now is I felt that there was need for us to, I normally call it rethink education. Let's rethink let's not just look at where it was or how it was, but let's look at it as what we have right now and what are the needs that we're supposed to serve in the education industry. So that's what informs my practices and who I am right now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So you've mentioned that you feel a big difference with education from back then when we were growing up,
yes,
and right now with what is being offering. So at what point, or what are some of the things specifically that influenced your current perspective on education and maybe motivated you to look at it in a whole different picture and start doing exactly what you do?
First of all, let me say I'm a learning consultant. Most of the people are not familiar with the term. Now, a learning consultant is actually an educational professional or expert who give or provides guidance or expert advice on matters to do with learning, the actual learning. Okay. So for me, I don't look at policies. I don't look at most of the systems that are set up, but I look at in a classroom setup. This is the teacher, this is the child, and this is the content. So I give expert advice on when it comes to learning. That's why I call myself a learning consultant, which I know most people are not familiar with it. That is one. Number two, I felt there is a gap because I was a classroom teacher actually in a school in Lavington, and I had two learners who had struggles, who were struggling in a classroom setup. I'm not allowed to mention the conditions, but I felt that they were not neurotypical, what we normally call normal. Normally, I normally say there's no normal and abnormal. There's normally neurotypical, who are us who don't have any brain development issues, and then we have neurodiverse, those who now we put into the context of dyslexia, of autism, ADHD, and all that. So apart from all the learners I had, the 21s, I had 2. One had autism, and then another one had a condition that had not been diagnosed. And it's a journey I normally work with the parent, because sometimes it becomes difficult to explain that. So for me, and then when I was struggling as a classroom teacher who had no awareness of what the conditions were and how I was supposed to attend to them when it comes to learning, I felt I was failing the children. So, and then I feel like the admin will not understand, and that is what most administrations do. They will take in because they feel sympathetic to the parent, but then they don't understand that I, as the teacher who is in class, I'm actually getting overwhelmed and I'm not able to attend to the learner. So at the same time, when I was struggling with these 2 struggling learners in my classroom, I also had my own son who was in school, but he had not started talking. Okay. And we were at age 4. So I didn't understand what was happening. So I'm here, I'm a classroom teacher. I have to work 6 days because we will go even on Saturdays. Yeah. Struggling with 2 learners. I have 20 others. And then now I have my own son at home who he doesn't talk at all. I have no idea what is happening. And it pushed me to start asking questions and finding out why and how I can actually help. So during my teaching, I now took up, there were stories about autism, not any other thing. But then when I was doing my training, no one mentioned things to do with struggling learners in a classroom. We were told only behavior, absenteeism, and maybe they are rude or something. Mtoto wako rude, they're not listening. So those are the struggles we were told. Yeah. But I feel like when we were trained as a teacher, we need to be aware of all the scenarios we are going to meet in the classroom. So for me, as a teacher who was trained during that time, I didn't have awareness of that. So in my finding of the answers, how do I support these parents? Because I feel the need and I love children so much. And then at the same time, I have a 4-year-old who has not even started talking. He goes to school. He has no behavior issues. It's only that the words are not there. So he was a silent boy. Oh. And I didn't know what to do with him. So I took up a course to do with autism with Autism Society of Kenya. So I did the course. And then at the end of the course, I looked at it and I was like, no, this is not my son's condition. So what is it? Because it's different. Because you see, when you see autism, they have all these behavioral issues. Yeah. My son had no any behavioral issues. Yeah. So I still continue looking for answers. And then I stumbled on something, dyslexia. So because I could actually Google the traits of my son and all that just on my own learning. Yeah. And then I started doing it. And then I went through it. I was like, yes, this is what is happening. It's late talking, no behavior issues, the struggle with reading, sometimes, all those things. So it pointed at that. So once I finished the autism course, I did help those parents, but then I had to quit my job because I was like, why am I doing this to these parents and my own child is not being attended to? And yet he was in the best school actually in the area where we were staying in Buruburu that time. Oh. He was in the best school ever around there. Ile shule yenye kila mzazi anaenda kubook by August ndio next year ingie. He was in the best school. But then the teachers did not know how to. So, and then when I quit my job now trying to attend to him, it happened that Corona came. Uh-huh. And then so we were at home with the kids and it was my perfect moment for me to explore and learn and just attend to him. That's when I actually learned dyslexia. I took a course with an organization called Made by Dyslexia. They were doing free courses that time. And then I helped my son and then I understood it was not actually lack of communication. It's called late talking, which I will explain sometime later. Okay. So late talking, they have the words yes, but then they cannot, they find it difficult to actually find 2 or 3 to communicate or to make a sentence. Okay. So it's just late talking. The words are there, but then they delay to talk. Okay. Yes. So and then when Corona is done and then we are back to schools now and I'm confident and I'm happy, I know. So I went to KISE, Kenya Institute of Special Education in Kasarani, and then because I wanted an assessment. At that time, that is the only place I could go for assessment because I didn't see any issue with medical, so I could not go to the hospital. Yeah. So then I went to KISE and there's a lady, they did an assessment. There's a very nice lady there, I don't remember her name, but she was like, this is dyslexia, just take him to school. But then still, I took him to school. And then the problem is these teachers still don't understand what dyslexia is and they don't know how to handle it. Yeah. So that is where, when I talk about the gaps, and learning, that is where it comes. Because the school will take the child, yes, but then the teacher is not aware. So how learning is not happening. It's just me paying school fees and then That's it. So once he was able to, I think after Corona, we moved to Syokimau, and I found a very nice school. And the teacher was very understanding. She was ready to learn. She was very good teacher, Jedida. I really applaud her. She moved out of the school. She was very, I work one-on-one with the teachers. For me, even as of now, where we are in grade 5, I still have to do that. So we moved to Syokimau, and then I found a very good school, and the teacher was very accommodating, and we started there. So I struggled with, do I go back to look for a job? Because that school was still calling me, saying, Noel, can you come? I was like, no, what if there's a parent who has a child and they're not teachers, they don't know what to do, and the school is not attending them? So if you look at ISEL Steps as a learning consultancy, it's actually born from my son's name, Ansel.
Oh, wow.
So I just changed steps. So the steps I took to helping Ansel learn to a point he gained progress and was able to be in school are the same steps I'm actually supporting with the learners with, and also supporting teachers and schools. So that is what born ISL Steps Learning, which is my organization, and I'm the learning consultant.
Amazing. Thank you so much for taking us so vividly through your personal journey, your personal experiences. And as you've been explaining this, I've been very curious to know, because you're the one who noticed the kids in your classroom, and then you also noticed your own child, and you took up the initiative to go deeper, do research, and learn so much more about this. During this period between you noticing, researching, learning, and making the decisions that you did you have any sort of help or support maybe from anyone, or did you do it all on your own?
There was no support.
Okay.
First of all, because like I said, I think during that time, right now, school, everyone is about inclusive education. Inclusive education, I will explain to you my better version of inclusive education. Right now, I would say we are somewhere. But I think in 2018, 2019, when I was actually starting the journey, I had no help. I was on my own with that knowledge that I had to go to learn with the organization, and then also my own research. But in the other parts of the world, like in Germany and USA, there's good information, there's awareness and all that. I did not have any help. The only help I think I got is to go and do the course for autism, and then also going to KISE for assessment. I think those are the two help I got. But during the journey and all that, I think I would say it was just me trying to find what is suitable for my child to be able to actually learn. Because I remember there's a time the head teacher wa hiyo shule aliniambia, huyu ni wa special needs, utampeleka Westlands Primary. But I was like, I don't think so. I don't see any special, at that point I was like, I don't see any special need about my son. But then with learning and being able to attend to him individually, I was on my own, yes, but I was very passionate and I was looking for answers. I was like, there's no way God will give me a child who is struggling in a classroom and then have me get all this time and then I'm not able to attend to him. I feel like I will be failing him the way I felt like I was failing the other teachers. So for me, it was about understanding who my son is, understanding how his brain works, understanding his needs educationally, even all emotionally, socially, and all that. I was just like, if this is my son and this is his brain in a classroom setup, how do I attend to him as a teacher, or how do I help the school or the admin or the classroom teacher be able to attend to them? So there was no help at all. I would not lie, it was just me on my own. But then I feel like it was very good because it motivated me to be who I am. So when I'm talking about the needs, and I always say every child has a special learning need. Okay. If you look at it, yes. So we talk about special needs and everyone thinks it's about, the ones who has the disability. But if you look at, there's a child who will come to school, they don't have a disability, but they're hungry. It's a need. You have to feed the need so that learning can happen. So when I say every child has a special learning need, every child has a need before they start learning. There's a child who will come and they just want a hug. I always tell parents, if you don't hug your kids, by the time they're coming to school, I'll have to hug them first and then learning starts. So it will drag our curriculum or our learning. So don't come making noise. 1, 2, 3. No. As a parent, do your part. If they need to be hugged, hug them. If they need to be fed, feed them. Because sometimes, especially for public schools, there are no meals sometimes. So you try as much as possible to do that. So when I say every child has a special learning need, there's that with a disability or neurodiverse, and then there's that who is hungry, there's that who has an emotional issue. I'm imagining if you are a teacher in a classroom and then you have a child who was abused.
Yeah,
it's a learning need. So I need to make them feel comfortable, make them feel like I understand where they're coming for learning to have. So when I'm talking about special needs education, I don't look at the neurodiverse or disability. I look at all learners as a general. I look at their need before we start learning.
Wow.
So that's how ICEL steps actually view. So we individualize learning for each child. And like 844, where it was just me in a classroom setup. So when I'm talking about learning, I'm just saying, I'm a grade 1 teacher and they performed well. For me, I'm a grade 1 teacher. I have 20 kids, and each of the kids I know, and I know their strengths, their interests. I understand them. I know their needs. So I attend to them as learning goes on.
Yeah.
And someone will think that it's a double work, but it's not. If you look at the training we normally do with the teachers, we actually incorporate, we call it a learning support program. So a learning support is where learning is happening, but in the learning, we're actually supporting all the other needs that children have in a classroom setting. Yes.
Okay. Amazing. I love how you've elaborated exactly how your own situation pushed you to come and build something so profound that is helping so many people at the moment. So as we go deeper into this, I would like you to maybe explain to our viewers exactly what ICEL steps learning is. Maybe put it in simple terms that they can understand.
Okay.
You've given us the backstory, the inspiration, the motivation.
Yes.
Now we want to look at the organization and understand, this is what it is.
Yes.
And maybe give us a small breakdown of how you run the operations.
Okay.
And how people do actually benefit from it.
Okay. So ICEL Steps Learning is an educational consultant. We work to support learners who have different needs in a classroom setup. We also work to support schools that have these learners and they're not able to attend to them. We also work with teachers who are in the classroom setup and they're not able to understand the condition or the functionality of how different needs of a child can actually be attended to. I've explained when you say different needs of a child.
Yeah, what it
So
means.
with us, we have pillars. We have several pillars that we work under. Number one, we do provide shadow teaching. Yeah, so a shadow teacher is actually, it actually came up during when the world was so much into inclusive education.
Yeah.
And at that time, we were the whole world was looking at inclusive education as sameness. So that's why they will say, just put them in a classroom. It's sameness. So that's how the world took it.
Yeah.
It's sameness. So you and me, we are in this class. So I have autism, I have dyslexia, I have, it could be a physical disability, a mental, whatever, but we're in the same class. That is what inclusive education was at that time. But if you look at it deeply, for me, I look at inclusive education as sameness and fairness. So as much as we are in the same class, am I attending to each needs of the learner? So when we say we are doing shadow teaching, we do provide, we work with parents through the journey.
Okay.
So parents will come, they would want a shadow teacher. We will provide a shadow teacher, and then now we are the ones to manage the shadow teacher, because when a parent is left to work with the shadow teacher, there's no accountability.
Yeah.
And most of the shadow teachers actually do babysitting instead of teaching. A shadow teacher is a professional. If you wanted someone to babysit your child, you have a nanny at home.
Yeah.
Because I've met parents who have had a shadow teacher for 2-3 years and all they did was just coloring. So they're just babysitting. But when I say babysitting, they just come, sit next to that child and they do nothing. They're just there waiting for their monthly salary. You know, because I'm dealing with that child, let's just do coloring and then we go home. But for me, I look at shadow teaching as not just a babysitter. I look at it as a professional who is supposed to help this child survive in a school setup emotionally, when it comes to curriculum, when it comes to social interaction, building communication, all those that this child is struggling with. Common behavior, this shadow teacher is supposed to actually help that child be able to regulate themselves. Yeah. Kama ni social interaction, the shadow teacher is supposed to help this child engage with the other learners, not to be a shadow.
Yeah.
So as much as that's why I always say I don't like the word shadow teacher, I call them, for my organization, we call them learning support staff or learning support teachers, because they support the learning of this neurodiverse learner. So we have the shadow teacher, which we manage. Now, when I say we manage, mostly when a parent employs a shadow teacher, they don't follow up. They don't do quality control. I don't know if you understand when I say quality control. Like, what are you doing? What exactly are you doing with my child? So I'm paying you at the end of the month as a shadow teacher. My child has autism, has dyslexia, has ADHD, or whatever. What are you doing with them? A parent is not supposed to is not able to ask all those questions and get the answer. So you find that progress sometimes might not be there. So when a shadow teacher is working under us, we actually do prepare a document that is called an individualized educational plan, an IEP. So with the document, we prepare with the medical department, which is a clinic or a therapist, and then with us. So now, if they are on therapy, now the therapist has their own goals on how they're going to work with this child. And then us on our side, as a grade 1 or a PP2 or whichever level, we also have goals that we need to achieve by the end of the year with this child. So we match the goals together. And then now this IEP becomes like the curriculum. So this shadow teacher will be referring to this document so that they know, today I'm supposed to teach this child like this, or today I'm working on this. So progress can be seen. And then it's also a way of actually getting data, because I've been given learners to help or to monitor a shadow teacher, and then I tell them, what have you been working on with the child? And they provide nothing. So how are you a professional and you are not able to give me even, at least for the last 3 months, for the last term, a copy of what you worked on? So for me, I feel like most shadow teachers are just babysitting and eating a parent's money. Most of them. I didn't say all of them. I have met those who are doing really well, and I have done training for them to support them.
Okay.
But then there are those who I feel they're just babysitting, which is not really fair. Because they're supposed to help this child survive in a classroom setup. So when we say managed shadow teaching, that's what you mean. So we monitor them every week. We have to visit the school and see what they're doing. And then also we have the IEP, which will inform them. They also have a progress record where they tell us, if we did coloring, what was the objective? And then how did you achieve? Was it achieved? So if it was not achieved, how are we going to? Did the child have? And then we also have daily observation form, where you give us a report on how the day went. If you're a shadow teacher, how did learning happen? Did they have any emotional regulation issues? Did they have any sensory issues to block ears, or, all those fighting and all that, all those behavior issues? So we have a daily observation form that they have to actually provide to us at the end of the day. So it's like we are monitoring, and we have data, and we have progress. So with all these materials or all these documents, we are actually able to present it to the parent and say, this is what our goal was this is what we have worked on, and this is what we have achieved. So we normally have reviews. So that way you find that this is a professional who is actually under watch, and we are working towards progress. So if we feel like the child is not gaining independence or functionality, we'll actually call the teacher. We will hear from her. If she is willing enough, we can actually do more training for her on the part where we feel she's struggling. But if she's very rigid, then we normally don't have a choice. We're dealing with that. So there's the shadow teacher that's one of our product. Another product is a learning support program for schools. So shadow teacher mostly is termed to be as for the parents who are able to afford it. So they say it's for the well-off parents. Okay. So and then we also started the learning support program for schools for parents who are not able to pay this teacher every month. So what we do, we have schools that are actually willing to take in these children, and they are willing to learn. So we do there's a training we normally do with them. We call it teacher learning support training, where we actually train now the whole school and the whole staff, not that just the teachers, but we train soldiers, drivers, cooks on what learning difficulties are, or learning disabilities, or on what inclusion or inclusive education is. So it's normally a 5-day training. There are schools that apply and pay. For the schools that actually have these learners, we normally give them a small discount. So it's for the whole school. So if a cook is in a school, for example, I have a school called Noel Primary School or Noel Academy, and I have a cook and a soldier and a driver, and I have taken in a child who is who has ADHD or dyslexia, I need them to understand who this child is. So that if they see if this child runs into the kitchen, the cook is able to know how to intervene. So there's a role to everyone. If they are actually running around and the soldier sees this child and they are able to actually, because sometimes it happens with the loping and all that.
Yeah.
So we do the training for all the staff and all the schools. And then now we support the teachers when it comes to learning. We help them go through the IEP. How do they make this curriculum, CBE, CBC, break it down to a point where this learner can be able to understand or comprehend. So for when a child does not have a shadow teacher, but they have this classroom teacher who has gone through the system or the training, what we do, we make the curriculum very light. So kama other kids who are doing addition, and this one has not gotten the concept of numbers, we will still work on numbers. The teacher has 2 lessons, but in 1 lesson plan. That is what we normally do. So because now we are trying to look at this parent who is not able to pay a shadow teacher, but then the child needs that support. So once we train the teachers in the school can actually organize. Some normally make a school fees a little bit higher, but with a smaller percentage that the parent can break it down during the term.
Yeah. So
that we can actually be able to attend to everyone. So in the public space, school spaces, we're still not yet there with inclusive education and support, but we are working on it. Hopefully we are going to get help and get somewhere. So we have the shadow teaching, we have the learning support program, and then we also have behavior management, where we have now these neurotypical normal kids who have just behavior issues.
Yeah.
So how are teachers going to support them? So we also have that as a product, but that one, if you take either shadow teaching or the learning support program, we actually offer that for free. So we help the school and the teachers be able to manage it, because I always say behavior is communication. Yeah. If a child just comes to school and they're crying and they're communicating, so how do we help the teacher understand that it's a frustration that is coming from home or someone, it's a communication. So we help the teachers interpret behavior management instead of labeling and say, she's spoiled, he's not a good boy. We stop labeling and we start looking at the misbehavior as a communication. Something is going through his brain and he's not able to explain. So how do I attend to them? So behavior management is also one of our products. I talked about IEP. We also conduct IEP for parents who want to enroll their children in education, but then they are on the special needs. We also conduct IEP for them. Yes, and there are so many others, but
IEP?
Individualized education plan. It's a document that I said we combine the medical goals for the therapist.
Okay.
And then we combine the educational goals for this learner, and then it's like a syllabus for this learner, but individually. So naona venye syllabus inakwanga ya the whole class, ya grade 1, grade 2. Yeah. So we have a syllabus ya grade 1, but for this specific learner. So that's why it's individualized educational plan. So we also do that.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing.
We also do, before I forget, we also do parenting workshops where we actually work with parents the journey. So we talk about behavior issues. How can a parent know their child is in need of something and then attend to them? We also talk to the parents about how they can support their children in learning, especially that CBC requires parents to be fully involved in their children's learning. So we also tell the parents, how are you supposed to be involved in your child's learning? So, yes.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
I love the details and how you break down exactly how ISOL Steps learning program carries out the program in schools and everything.
Yeah.
While we're speaking about that, I'm sure it's very difficult, and I'm sure there are challenges you faced introducing this whole idea to either, especially institutions, because you've just mentioned that in public schools, you've not yet ventured into that. Now, I'd like to know, how did you manage to make it possible for the schools that you're currently in? How did you convince them to open doors for you and embrace your idea? And what do you think can be done? What kind of awareness do other institutions need? Or how can you reach such institutions like the public schools to embrace such an initiative and see the benefits that it brings to them as an institution, to the parents, and most importantly, to the kids that need this kind of support?
The journey is not normally very smooth, but I think it always starts with a conversation I have after I walked into a school, and then I introduce myself. I say, this is what I do. Mostly some schools will actually view me as a competition, yet I don't have a school.
Wow.
I always say, if I have a school, I will not be able to attend to everyone I'm attending to, because I cannot hold 1,000 dyslexic kids in one classroom or one. So I'll not reach a bigger area. So it's always difficult, because some administrators will see me as a competition, but then you look at it as, I come from a point where a teacher is struggling in class to handle this learner. So if I am a teacher in a classroom and then I have a child who has dyslexia or autism or ADHD or name any other learning difficulty in a classroom, and then they are not able to attend to it. So we come in as a support system. So we do not come to replace the teacher. We do not come to replace anything. But I take the administrators through a session where we look at, are we having any behavior issues? Do we have any child who you feel is struggling and they're behind? Do you feel that you have any child who is actually overwhelming the teacher in a classroom? And then we go through the records. We get to a point where we actually go through the assessment books. So for those who are willing and they have those issues and they don't know how to help, the doors are always open. And they're like, yes, we need this kind of support, but then how do we work around it? But then there are those who will just look at it as a competition, and then they say, yeah, we are with them and we are managing, and then the call ends there, or the conversation ends there. But I normally don't stop there. I still call, I still go back and I attend to them. But I think my biggest breakthrough has been working with parents, because it is a parent who wants their child's need to be met. So it's easier for a parent to actually tell the school that this is who my child is, this is the condition, and I have a support that can actually not just support my child, but also support the whole school, so that we can reach all the other parents. So there are points where I have worked with the parents, the journey, and then the doors have been open. But there are those who we are still not yet there, but hopefully, they will soften their heart. I'm doing awareness. I know it's not enough, and I'm happy that you are going to be part of us in the doing the awareness. So I normally do monthly webinars, free webinars, just to talk about learning struggles, how teachers struggle, how teacher can deal with burnout, some of the struggles that teacher normally find in a school setup or in a classroom setup and all that. So that is the first part of awareness. Like I said, we also do parenting workshops. So there are schools that I will tell them, if I feel they're still very rigid on opening the doors to me, I would actually give them, I will ask them, do you feel there's a problem that is happening, or there's a need that you need to address to your parents? So they will tell me, yes, I have a lot of behavior issues, I have a lot of this and that, and I would wish parents will know 1, 2, 3. So I tell them, then book me a parents day, and then I do our parenting workshop. So we start from there.
Wow.
So parenting workshops have done well for me. I've also done some in Rotary clubs. Yes, so it's for me reaching out to the parents so that they can actually reach to the others. In the public space, it's still very difficult because of the numbers, number one. Even if I was to do the learning support program, for example, close here, Mlolongo Primary, I don't think the teachers are able to handle all that. So we still need to come up with systems. So inclusivity in the public space is normally there. Policies with the high end, with everyone who could do, but then qua ground,
it's a different story.
It's a different story, because you will find that a public school has 50 kids in one classroom. And then maybe they have 1 or 2 with struggling learners. So this teacher has to handle all these 50 and still handle. So it becomes very difficult. But there are those who actually join the webinars and we actually able to support them. I haven't been able to reach any in the public space, because I've been creating structures and also trying to find a support on my side, because doing it alone is not easy. So once I find partners and support, I think it will be easier to get into that space, because I want to help all these children. They deserve to be attended to, their needs and all that. So in the public space, we're still not there. And I think, allow me to say, my heart bleeds for those children, because I feel like I have interacted with children to a point I'm always thinking, when I'm here and then this parent is able to pay for this one, what if that child, what about that child in Kibera, in Blolongo, in, what about those children? Are they at home? Are they locked up? Are they in school? And how are they surviving? Because they're not being attended to. So there's still a very big gap when it comes to inclusion, but we are working around it. Hopefully in the next few months, we will be somewhere.
Absolutely. I think we can look at that as a big point of opportunity for you.
Yes.
And as we say, today, this platform, we are hoping to change or maybe impact so many people with this kind of information. Of course, create awareness at the same time. And we hope that this information is going to reach as many people as possible.
Yes.
And that the amazing program that you're running will reach the people that it deserves and also grow for you so that you can reach as many people as you want to. So I understand that you also work with clinics and hospitals. We've not touched that part. So please tell us how you got into that as well, and how is it working out, and what's the future? How does the future look like for you on that path?
I think I would say by the time I was thinking about working with the medical practitioners or the medical department, the future looks brighter.
Wow.
Because I'll give you a scenario where when we have these special needs children of this learner with developmental issues or developmental delays, the parent will actually go to the pediatrician ama huyo daktari wa watoto and then anafanya diagnosis. Either anaweza mwambia, kuna wale watamwambia it's just a delayed development, put him in school. And then the parent is stuck there. So now I feel like this school already washanituma kwa daktari. Na huyu anasema nimpeleke shule. So still hakuna help. So anashindwa ataenda wapi. So now we are the bridge. Now you understand, we are the bridge between the medical reports and the school that is struggling. So we come in and bring in that. But then I thought of working with clinics and hospitals or therapy centers because of that statement where we will do an assessment in school. We do an assessment in school and then we look at the child and how they're struggling. Then we tell the parent, we feel you need to do a functional assessment. Mm-hmm. So functional assessment is like where they just do a report. They assess the child medically and then they give us a report on who they are, if they have any delays or if it's actually a defined diagnosis, kama ni dyslexia, kama ni ADHD and all that. Okay. But that one, I think the medical department can explain that more. Yeah. But for me, if I feel like it is more than what we can handle in a classroom, I normally refer the parent to a medical doctor ama to a therapy center to get that so that I am able to know this is who the child is and then how do I attend to them. So for me, working with them, it was because of that statement. Hiyo, mzazi anaenda anafanyiwa assessment, anaenda ambiwa mweke shule hataongea tu. And then they are stuck. So I thought of working with them because if we had a referral system where daktari akipata mtoto amemfanyia assessment, akona development delay, or probably they would be put on therapy, ama diagnosis has been defined akona autism or mild autism.
Yeah.
So it is okay for the daktari to actually tell the parent, you can actually call teacher Noel, she will help you with school placement, because we also help parents find schools.
Oh.
Yes, because you see now, mzazi ukishaambiwa mpeleke shule, and then the school is the one that send you there. You are left hanging.
Yeah.
So now we are ISL steps. We are the bridge where you walk from the hospital down to a school and then you are getting support. So for me, the future is brighter when I'm working with therapy centers and hospitals and schools because I feel we are now being inclusive.
Yeah.
We are including everyone. And the parent doesn't feel the weight of having to look for a school because I am here. So wewe umeenda umepewa report umeambiwa unipigie simu ama daktari anaweza nitumia and then I reach out to you and then you tell me the specification of where you would wish your child to be. Mm-hmm. And then now I will do that part for you and then we continue with the support. Okay. So working with them is just to make the system very easier, or the journey for the parents be very easy. Instead of me leaving the hospital and then I'm the one actually driving to schools, I can actually just make this one call. And then I'll told, let's go and look at this school and this school and this school. And then the support is there.
Yeah.
So that's what I was looking at. And also on my part, when I get learners who are in a classroom, because when I do ISO learning assessment, I sit in a classroom. and I observe the learner. So there are schools that have actually invited me to check on a learner and explain if it's a delayed development, ama, it is more than that. Is it something we can deal with educationally, ama, it's more than that. So I also advise schools on that matter. So on my side, when I have done that, I wanted to have a system where after I have done the diagnosis, or not the diagnosis, sorry, I have done the educational assessment.
Yeah.
I actually have a clinic in mind, a therapist in mind, a pediatrician in mind, a doctor in mind, where I can say, this is the report we have. This is what we are struggling to attend to your child on this area. And we feel, Dr. So-and-so, or we feel we need a functional assessment so that we know how to handle it instead of guessing. So it's easier for me to say, go to so-and-so, they will do a functional assessment, and then you bring the report, and then we continue with the support. So ISEL Steps is like a bridge to a special needs parent walking the journey from identifying their child's needs to actually supporting them. So that's where we come in. That's why I said the future for me to partner with schools and with clinics and hospitals, because them, they do the medical part, and then now us, we do the educational part.
Wow.
Yes.
I love the intentionality that you put into your work, and the professionalism is so evident.
Thank you.
I mean, I'd like to now understand, let us now get a real picture for the audience.
Mm-hmm.
When a parent approaches you with a child that needs the kind of help that you provide, how does it, let's take us step by step. What does the experience look like for this child?
First of all, it depends. For parents who have been referred by the clinics or the hospital, it's an easier journey. So what we normally do is we sit and we do the IEP that I talked about, and then now we start the shadow teaching journey or the learning support journey. That is how it goes. So the parent has been referred to me by the clinic, and then we do the IEP, the syllabus for this child, and then we put them in school. We find a suitable school for that the parent feels they're comfortable with, and then we move the journey. And then we have also a journey that we work with a parent who has been referred to me personally. So when they come to me personally, I'll ask them, tell me about, I do a learning assessment. I call it a learning assessment, where I get to understand who this child is. So it's just a conversation I normally have with the parent. Can take 45 to 1 hour.
Okay.
So tell me who your child is. And it's so shocking, but most parents cannot answer that.
Wow.
Yes. Most parents cannot actually answer that question. I'm like, how are you a parent? You're not able to say who your child is. Yeah. So it's very alarming on that side. Most parents are normally very busy. Mm-hmm. But it's also a session that helps parents get to understand, okay, so I'm missing something. That's why I normally call it, how are you intentional parenting? Let me be intentional that I am a mother, that I am a father, and this child life or decisions is solely dependent on me. Yeah. So I normally do the learning assessment. We ask about your child, what are their needs, what are their strengths, what do they like, what don't they like, and then also which area do you feel they're struggling with. So from there, if they are in a school setup, I call it an observation assessment, where I go to the school 3 days, but it's paid. The learning assessment is charged.
Okay.
So after I've done that with the parent, now I go to the school where the child goes to school. 3 days. The first day I look at structured learning. Structured nile tuko class na mwalimu anafunza. How is the child behaving? Mm-hmm. How are they behaving? Are they able to attend to a task? Are they understanding? Are they answering questions? Are they participating in learning? Or they're giving teacher any difficulty?
Yeah.
So in just that learning setup, I call it structured, because there's a structure. We have to sit, listen, we have to attend to this task, we have to go there, we have to write color and all that. So I look at that. I just sit in a corner and observe. Mm-hmm. So that is day 1 of our learning assessment. And then we have day 2 where I look at unstructured learning. Now play, outdoor, socialization. How do they socialize? Do they play with others or they play alone? Do they have speech? Can they talk? Can they interact with the others? Can they share? Do they understand turn taking? Can they throw back the ball to me? So we look at all those. It's unstructured.
Yeah.
Where there's no structure, tumeenda tu kwa field tunacheza. So I'm looking at it. Mwenzake akianzisha game, can they follow up and play with them, or they're having difficulties? Can they answer back? Can they kick the ball back? Can they hold something with strength? And can they follow up? Can they race all those, I know you understand the unstructured learning.
Yeah.
So the capability of just letting a child in the free space. How are they? And then the third day, I look at transitions. Do they have difficulties moving from one task to another? Or from one, kuna watoto wenye tukienda nje wataki kurudi class. So there must be something.
Yeah.
So, but then how do I help a teacher understand that this is why they don't want to go back? So how do I attend to it? So once we've done the assessment with the parents, and then I do the 3-day observation assessment with the child in school, and then I come up with a report on where I feel they are the strengths, and then the struggles, and then the recommendations. If I feel it's just a delayed development or a delayed milestone that we can actually work with in a school setup, then we will handle it. But if I feel it is more, because there are some characteristics that you look at it and you're like, hii inahitaji medical attention. So we would actually refer the parent to a therapist or a therapy center or to a clinic or to a pediatrician, so that they can actually, so that by the time tunaanza hiyo kumsupport, to guess, you're not doing guesswork. We are understanding ako tu na delayed speech, ako tu na emotional issues. There are kids who have gone through trauma. I have met a recent client of mine who had an abusive nanny, and the child was traumatized, and then so ata speech bado, and then bado hajajua kucheza na wengine, ukimwendea ni kama ana unaona. So it would be that. So when I'm talking to the parents about tell me who your child is, those are the kinds of information I want to get it. Because for me, I would have actually thought it's a delayed speech, but then they are saying it's delayed speech, yes, but it's caused because of trauma. It could be tu mtoto alishautiwa tu akijaribu kwanza kuongea, alafu akaogopa, so hata iongea tena.
Yeah.
So it's so many things. That's why I say I want to have a conversation with the parents, and then also observing the child for 3 days will give me a lot of information about that child than me just sitting with the child for 30 minutes or 1 hour.
Wow.
So we normally look at that. So after that, and then once we have, if it's something we can actually work on in a school setup, we'll still do the learning support program. There's an extra fee for that with the admin. And then also if they have to go to get us a medical report, they still do. And then now once it's defined, it's autism, it's virtual autism, it's delayed speech, it is ADHD, it is dyslexia. Now we have a better idea on how to attend to him because now we know what it is. And then when a client is referred by the school, it's still the same. So we do the observational assessment, we do the learning assessment, and then the IEP. And then if we feel we need medical reports, then we send them to the medical report, and then they come back, and then we continue like that.
Okay.
But I always walk parents, I walk the journey with the parents, because there's a parent who will come to me because the school was not able to handle that child. So they are in this space where they're like, amesema hataki huyo mtoto kabisa, sasa sina mahali pa kuenda. Then I'm telling him, okay, let's do the assessment first. Because there's a reason why huyo administrator atakata. Hata kama ni behavior issue, we need to understand it's a behavior issue, and then what is causing that behavior. We look deeper than that.
Yeah.
So when we do that, we do the assessment and all that. I also help the parent. Before we do the school placement, I ask the parent, do you have any school in mind where you feel your child should be in? Because a parent anataka mtoto wake aende Irene school.
Yeah.
But then you don't take in the kids because you're like, it's too much work, I cannot handle it. I've heard about autism, they have behavior issues, they have, But then when I'm there and I'm talking to the admin and I give them how we do the journey and how we support, there are those who say, okay, if you are actually coming with support, then who are we to refuse? Then let's take up the child. So we walk the journey with the parents from assessment, understanding the child, getting to know their needs, crafting a curriculum, and then now we start doing the support.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing. As you've been explaining all this, exactly how you integrate the kids into your system, the very first steps up to how you get to work with them through the journey. I've been really curious, and I want to take us back to some moments to Kianza show. There's something really interesting that you mentioned. The educational experience during this time. Of course, we have a whole new curriculum, CBC, CBE.
Yeah.
Most of us had a whole different experience of education, especially the people that are raising kids now, right? We are experiencing a whole new world in front of us while we've just lived a whole different world our entire lives. in your own perspective ukiangalia, nataka utuambie zile like weigh the differences from our educational experiences.
Yes.
Like ni vitu gani una feel tu time yetu hapo nayo the educational system ilikuwa imeuma nje, and then how that has improved to these days.
Yeah.
Like what are some of the things that have improved that the kids of today are experiencing, ama ni nini zilikuwa better back then, and right now they're being done different, and they actually present a gap where there's an opportunity area for improvement.
There are so many.
I can imagine
the list is the list is endless, but I'll mention the ones, especially the ones that I'm actually working on or I am into. So number one, 844, or whichever other one. I went through 844. 844 was looking at education as a generalized group. Like I said, I'm a grade 1 teacher, and they did well. Class 8 this year, they did very well. Yeah. So, and then, because then if you look at it that time, it was just mwenye anapita ndio anasonga, mwenye hawezi ana repeat and drop out. They continue, and then they end up dropping out. So for me, comparing 844 and CBC, I strongly support CBC, especially, no, even if it was that time, I'll still strongly support CBC, because having dealt with children with different needs, I feel CBC or CBE, let me say CBC, they have changed to CBE, but CBC is actually attending to this generation. Because when I tell you things are different, the world has opened more. We have a lot of information here and there. Kids this day, they know so much. Like, there are so many things that are actually available this time that they were not there. Like, kids of this day, like my son doesn't understand how you will grow up without a TV, a phone, a tablet, and all that, you see. And if you look at it, they actually learn from it. They do learn from them, but then sometimes when we end up exposing them too much to screen time, it becomes an issue. Yeah. I will tell you about it. But CBC is looking at an individual learner, because we talk about competencies. Yeah. So competencies ni kama zile, something like how am I supposed to, by the time I'm finishing this grade 1 or this PP1 or this particular grade, what should I have achieved as an individual? But before 844, it was just that tufanye KCE, mwenye anapita aende, mwenye haezi anabaki hapo akihangaika, and then that's it. And then during that time, if you had any struggles with learning, utaitwa mjinga.
Yeah.
And if I can tell you of all my research with learning, my experience, hakuna mtoto mjinga.
Wow.
Every child, every human being has the ability to learn. It just depends with what they are being taught, where it is happening, their state of mind, their psychological state, and the environment, and all those things. So for me, CBC is better because it's attending to a child, something which 844 never looked into. And I feel like most of the children who I went to school with and they dropped out, I feel like most of them, a bigger percentage, had dyslexia, and the system was not into it, because dyslexia is the most common learning difficulty. Actually, research says that 1 in 5, they have dyslexia. And it's normally not looked into because they have no behavioral issues. You've seen my son. Yeah. He's good. He will answer you. He will do mtaelewana vizuri. But when it comes to learning and just comprehending things and copying from the board and spellings and all that, he struggles. He struggles so much. So for me, CBC, the way it has broken down the learning areas and how teachers are supposed to teach, it's attending to each and every learner. Something that the 844 system never looked into, and they didn't care. And that's why these days you'll still find someone saying, mtoto wangu ashikanishangi. No, their needs are just not being met the way that teacher is teaching. That's why when we are doing the teacher training, we tell the teacher, before you prepare this lesson, get to understand who your children are, and then how do you craft one lesson plan in a way that it can actually attend to. So I normally talk about something called VAC. VAC is a learning style. I'm sure you have one. So a learning style is something that a way in which you prefer to take in information. So we have visual learners, people who, when they see the video, ama waki watch a video in a information in a sync. So that's a visual learner. Okay. And then we have auditory. Ule tu mwenye ni they do podcasts, they listen to lectures. Like I'm an auditory. Right now, if I was to go back to class, I would rather listen to a lecture than actually, or something like that. So I'm an auditory. It's about what comes to my ear is what sticks in.
Okay.
And then we have read and write learner. Wale wenye hata wakifanya anything, they have to put it down.
Wow.
They have to put it down for information to sink. Okay. And then we have a kinesthetic is to do with movement. Mostly it's used in pre-primary where we have music, dance, hands-on activities. We are molding, we are moving, we are jumping, we are doing, and it's still part of learning. Yeah. So when I take the teachers through that training, they look at all these learners as each of the learner has at least this particular learning style. And then how do I prepare a lesson plan that can actually attend to a visual learner, attend to a read and write, attend to an auditory, and then attend to a kinesthetic. And it's very easy to do that. So it's easier because it's easier to actually do that lesson plan because CBC imekubreakia down tasks into very smaller things.
Yeah.
And then you're able to attend to a dyslexia who are mostly, they are normally visual learners. So if you use pictures, you use videos, the information sinks for them. And then, of course, there will be an exercise where we will write down. So that's a read and write learner will make it sink. Of course, if I have to explain something and do explain something and also tell them how to do it, an auditory learner will actually get it. And then kinesthetic learner is ule mwenye, I call them hands-on activities. So we have to do movement. We can do dance. We can do a demonstration, or dramatize something. Like
practical.
Practical. They are put into it. Wow. So if I can have one lesson that has steps and then I take care of these learners, then learning has happened and I have achieved so much. This is something that 844 will never look into. And I am happy that there are actually school directors and administrators who look into it and they're like, yes, that is actually the way to go. Because I'm sure when you were actually in the previous school or where you went to school, there are learners you can look at and you're like, they were not wajinga, they're just not attended to.
That is so true.
Their needs were not met in that school or in that area or the way the teacher was teaching. It was not my learning style. So I will not get it.
Wow.
I will not get it. I have moments where my son comes home and he tells me, I ask him, did you understand what the teacher says? And then he says, a bit. So now, and then I ask him, so what was it? So thank God I'm a teacher. I'm actually able to take him through all that. Also, I like how CBC is not doing the rank.
Okay.
Because sometimes it will demoralize you. Because kama nitakuwa tu shule na kila siku mimi ndio wa mwisho.
Walikuwa wanaitwa bottom 10.
Exactly. So you're not caring about my emotional and mental health, and you are into the mental health era. So people talk about mental health in the workspace, but they don't look at learners. It affects them. It affects kids, and especially kids who know they're struggling. It affects them because they understand and they know that they are struggling. So for me, CBC is the way to go, especially now because the world is more open and we have more information. And we are looking into so many things in education than it was at that time. That time it was just upite mtihani uandikwe. Sai tunafunza mtoto actually kufikiria. So siko tu class kupeana kukufeed. I'm here. This is the topic. We are talking about digestion.
Yeah.
For example. So I'm here to help you understand how digestion happens. I'm not here to teach you how digestion happens. Because you end up, if you don't understand and you have pressure to do exams, you will end up cramming. So I'm here to help you understand on your own how it happens. So it sinks. So that if any question comes in any way about digestion, I'm able to answer it.
Wow. So
the idea of us being exam-oriented and also not looking at individual needs is not there anymore. And I feel it feeds us more as teachers of today. And also the assessment is actually I think it has been made light.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe someone will have a different opinion about it.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel like it looks into a lot of things. It looks into me as a whole individual, co-curricular activities, my strengths, my weaknesses, and how I'm actually able to. So there are schools that are actually doing CBC very well. But then there are schools that we are in the CBC era, but then they're still stuck in the 844. So they're still being drilled. So I was actually making noise the other day and asking, why is a child in play group being taught how to write? Play group. In playgroup, my muscles have not even grown to hold a pencil. That's why they hold like this. So can this kind of learning be kinesthetic, where it's movement and all that, where I'm given Play-Doh? Let's work on getting my muscles grow to be able to hold a pencil or a marker pen. And then now we can introduce that. Because if you give a child to trace and then they still don't even know how to hold the pencil, how are they going to trace? So there are schools that are still into the drilling, where lazima ajue, it doesn't go like that. It's you start, because I always say playgroup is very sensitive.
Yeah.
They still don't know a lot of things. And if you keep that child in a chair like this, you might actually deform them, because bado wanna grow. So let them play. It is playgroup, for God's sake. Why are they sitting in a class and writing play? It's play. It says very well playgroup. So you'll find watoto wamekaa kwa kiti stacked, hakuna kelele nini. You cannot compare a playgroup class and a grade 7 class. So a playgroup should be chaotic, and I love it. Because why are we keeping kids like this? They're supposed to explore and learn. That's how we actually get to understand, to teach them what is wrong and right. So for me, CBC has brought that idea where I am actually not just teaching, but I'm helping this child understand the world.
Yeah.
And they're taking information, and then whatever is wrong, I correct them. Whatever is right, I applaud them, and then we move like that. So in the other education that I went to, given that chance, we were not given that opportunity. That's why I think that's why unapata sometimes kuna watu wenye wali drop out lakini waliingia kwa biz na waka make it. Explain that. If you tell someone to explain that. So they were intelligent, yes. Hakuna ujinga hapo. They were intelligent, but they had a learning difference, but the education at that time did not attend to their needs. So they dropped out because it was exam oriented, and probably I'm a kinesthetic learner. And then the teacher is not doing the movement and dance and all those other activities. The practicals, we are not doing it. Because that's how my brain takes in
information.
So, and then you find ameenda ali drop out, akaenda kafanya business na thrive na anadu poa. The education system did not serve him at that time. But at this time, we are serving actually every individual, looking at the different types of learning, the different needs, and I love it. I will vote for CBC, CBE anytime. Anytime. I actually love it.
Wow, amazing. It's nice to see that at least we have hopes. The generation that is coming in, they have such an opportunity to make a difference. Compared to the opportunities we got. I think we were really limited. Now, there's something you refer to as learned helplessness, right? I would like you to explain to us briefly what exactly you mean by that, what it is, and how to go about it. Like, how can we develop solutions for that?
It looks like it's a big term, but basically it's just like I am in a learning situation, but then I cannot get help.
Okay.
Something like that. So the learning is supposed to happen, but then I'm not getting help in the way I'm supposed to learn. Yes. So, and I think I have explained, like, when I look at your strength, I look at your interest, I look at your learning style. Like, how does your brain prefer to take in information? So when you combine all that, and then the teacher is aware that they can actually attend to this kind of learner in one lesson, it becomes easier to attend to them. So it looks like it's a big term, but it's just me being in a learning setup where I'm not getting help. So I need help. It is learning. I'm supposed to learn, and I need help.
All right. That makes perfect sense, because also everything that you've been explaining to us about what you do, I think it creates a solution for that. Now, you've really painted a picture of a program that is, I'm sure, to most of our viewers, a whole new idea. Now, people might think that these services are only available to people with, big pockets and stuff. I need you to advise our viewers and our audience. Is it possible for any person to afford the kind of help that you're providing?
I'll say yes and no.
Okay.
It depends. First of all, it depends with the school, it depends with the area, and also it depends with the preference of with the needs of the child, and also it depends with the ability of the parent. Like I said, there's always this term that shadow teaching is for the parents who are well off, and it's for sure it's very expensive. Yeah. You can imagine paying school fees and still paying a teacher every end of the month. You have to be financially stable to be able to do that. So for the teachers who or parents who have these children who have these learning differences and they are in need, we normally ask them to actually, they would come to us and they explain to us the situation, and then now we would have a conversation with the school. Where once you have the conversation with the school, we tell them this is the support that we can offer, and then we walk the journey together. So from the school fees that the parent is paying, neurotypical, but now you understand neurotypical children, there's a smaller amount that is normally added to for the whole term, not just now paying monthly. So we normally also normally tell the administrators to look at the potential of the parents or the financial muscles of their parents, so that they know the margin on where they can do. For me, it's creating awareness. So there are schools that I would give them a discount, but then there are those who I feel there's the need. So I normally look for partnership or any other support from outside. I give them the proposal, and then now we are able to do the training and also support the learners through that journey. But I will say it's very expensive to actually, when you have a learner with learning differences or different needs in an education setup, and to be able to attend to them right. I won't lie to you, it's very expensive. I know it because I've been through it. Yeah. I have been through it. It is just that, and most of them are actually struggling because, like I said, there's no awareness of what learning struggles are. We barely talk about learning struggles. Okay. We only talk about it when a child has failed an exam.
For sure.
And then we will find probably the parent who can find a tutor, those who can't, the child still continue like that. But it is my biggest hope and plea that we are going to reach everyone, whether they have the financial muscles or not.
Yeah.
We are going to reach everyone, at least start the support from just supporting the teachers. Yeah. So even if a teacher is in a classroom and they have these struggling learners, how do we help the teacher actually understand how to do it as we move forward if the parent is not able to support on their own? So we talk to the admin, and then we come up with a figure that is manageable.
Yeah.
A figure that is manageable, and then we start the support from there. So for the schools that we've done training, we actually do a free consultation throughout the year. So we work with them the journey throughout the year, because we will come supervise, we will see if there are any issues, we'll see if the teacher is struggling, and then we know how to adjust and know how to work around it. But they still need a big need for awareness. They still need big need for financial support, especially for the public schools, and also the parents who are actually not able.
Yeah.
I have had so many parents come to me and they're not able to pay shadow teaching. So we had to come up with a plan. So it's still the journey of walking into the office because the parent is not able to have this conversation with the administrator or the director. So it's still the journey where we work with the parent will tell the administrator, this is what we do, this is the support we can offer, and we cannot let this child out. So we always work around it. So if a parent reaches out to us or a school reaches out to us, there is no way we will say no. We have never said no to any client. We have never said no to any school.
Yeah.
Because it is a need, and it is in our capacity that we actually attend to it.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. Now, just to paint a picture and maybe provide clarification, from your research and throughout the job you've been working, can you give us an estimate number of kids who in the country have the specific challenges that you're addressing with your education system, that is autism, dyslexia, like of all the kids we have in the nation? What's a good number that are facing that, so that we can move on to the next steps?
I wouldn't say there's a specific figure, especially in the nation, but I normally look at it globally. I work with global statistics.
Okay.
Like I said, dyslexia is the most common learning disability, but we've still not looked into it.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that we are here and we're actually creating awareness about that. So globally, I think the ratio of dyslexia is 1 out. If you see any 5 people, one of them has dyslexia. So that is the most common learning disability, but we still haven't explored it that much. Okay. We are getting there. For autism, I think is 1 in 37. Yes, but then autism has become very, very I think more people are coming out, and people always ask me this question, and sometimes I don't know how to answer, because they say, kwa nini siku hizi kila mtoto tu ako na autism? I'm not able to answer that because I'm not the creator, number one. I'm not even in the medical department that probably the medical department can have a certain figure, but for me, I normally work with a worldwide statistic, from a worldwide statistical space. And people say, kwa nini watoto wengi siku hizi wako na autism? ADHD, I'm still yet to find out the figure, but we have quite a number. And then we have all these other nitty-gritties like dyscalculias to do with math, there's dyspraxia and all those things. It's a long story. But normally the one that is dominant is autism, dyslexia, and ADHD. So ADHD, I still can't define it. But for autism, I don't know. I feel like most kids we are seeing right now have virtual autism. Virtual autism is where a child actually shows tendencies of autism, but then it's because they were exposed too much to the screen. So mostly corona babies, because it was us and the TV. Because if you're watching the TV, do you interact with it like the way you're giving me space to feed? Yeah,
actually just like a zombie. Just
exactly. So you understand when you talk to a child and they're not looking at you, the TV can still be there, it's talking, and I'm listening, but I don't have to look at it. So I've not learned. If I've been exposed too much on the screen, I will not learn human interaction. So sijui kuinteract na wewe, sijui kucheza na watoto wengine, sijui kwa sababu I was not exposed to human interaction. I was exposed to passive. Where inaendelea tu kuongea, and you will hear most parents say, anajua nyimbo zote za cartoon, she speaks cartoon language. How did he get it? They have the ability to learn. That's why they actually learn to your cartoon, because they too much exposure to. So they don't know how to interact, and that is one of the traits we have with autistic kids. They don't know how to interact, because if I was not exposed to interaction, how am I supposed to
know?
Yes. So I need therapies to be able to get to that. Communication is not there. If you don't talk to me, I'll not talk to you. Is the TV talking to the children? They just listen. So why should I talk? How do I learn the ones I should talk? Kids talk from us. Hata saa hiyo ukitaka kulearn a new language, you have to be exposed to that language and people talking to you and correcting you. But if I am a parent and I'm exposing my child to TV, ama mimi nimeenda job, msichana wangu ako TikTok, and then TV iko tu hapo, mtoto ako kwa TV the whole day, how do they pick up language? They don't have language. So I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like most kids we have right now that are coming up, it could be virtual autism. But anyway, autism is still just autism because the behaviors and the tendencies are same. So I always tell parents, reduce screen time. Actually, if possible, toa. I have nannies who bring kids to school. Mtoto analala. Mtoto mdogo wa PP1, PP2 play group analala nini analala. Alilala saa 6 alikuwa na watch TV. So I ask parents, how are you a parent if you're sleeping and your child is watching TV? So they will sleep up to 11:30. 11:30 ndio tunatoka nje tukuje tukule lunch tuende home. What have they learned? Nothing. So too much exposure to the screen. I don't know why parents feel it's okay for me to just leave my child to be on the TV all that time, and then it's not bothering me. And then I'll come and say, what I in the shule I pick language. There are those who pick, yes, but then it depends also with the severity of the exposure. So it's...
I think while we are on the same topic of virtual autism, I have personally experienced that challenge with kids around me. They would literally be carried away by the TV. You try to talk to the kid, you have to maybe physically tap them and then capture their attention. One of the reasons I've had parents give is maybe they are scared of the kids' safety outside, or there are always, different excuses. Let me just ask you for a few suggestions of maybe a mentality or a mindset that a parent should adapt so that they encourage their kids to take up better behaviors than sitting on screens 24/7. Or what should they do instead?
It depends. Like I always say, I will give my talks or presentation during a parenting workshop, but then a parent will still do what they want to do. So I always That's why I always talk about intentional parenting. I ask parents, are you intentional about being a mother? Are you intentional about being a mother? Because if you are, you will look into those things. Like there's a picture that was actually circulating on social media the other day where there's a mother who did a photo shoot and then amehold mtoto wake hivi ni kama arrow anataka kumshoot. And then people were actually commenting and saying it's actually a Psalms verse. A Psalms 140 something verse, which says like your children are an arrow, you can shoot them where you want them to land. So I always, when I'm talking about intentional parenting, I ask a parent, if your child was an arrow and then you have to shoot somewhere, where would they want them to land? Do you want a child to land to a place where they can't even interact with the environment? Mtoto hataezi shika nyasi. Mtoto ukimtoa viatu anahang, haezi kanyaga chini kwa ajai kanyaga nyasi.
Yeah.
But if you look at I always say, when you're choosing, once you're a parent, when it comes to intentional parenting, once you are a parent, every decision you make your child has to be factored in.
Yeah.
Like, I'll use an example that I was actually telling my friend the other day. I love her house. It's very nice, but then it's a 1-bedroom and I have a male child. So I'm not able to get that because I'm intentional. I cannot sleep with a 12-year-old in my bedroom.
The same bed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I always say it's intentional. Intentional means I accept I am a parent, yes, and then this is how the world is looking, and then what do I want it to be for my child? So how do I want my child to end up? How do I want them to learn? Even when you're looking for a place to go and stay, understand your child. Like for me, I know my son is an outdoor person. If I get him to a place where he can't skate, he can't ride a bike, he can't go for walks, he can't play football outside, I'll have traumatized him. I don't think that will be intentional parenting for me because I have understood it. So understand your child, know who they are, see the struggle they are actually having, and look through how you can actually support them. It starts from just, I don't know how to say it. Let the child interact with the environment. The environment teaches us so much that the screen cannot teach us. So and it's hard for us to eliminate the screen completely. You can minimize the time which they watch the screen, but let them interact with the environment. Let the children go out and play. Let them see the sun. Let them see the rain. The environment. We were created for that. The universe was created for us to actually manipulate. So if you don't let your child manipulate things, then it becomes like for every step they grow, you have to explain, you have to do therapies, you have to, for them to attain that. But if you let just a child be who they are and play and interact with the environment, play is very important for brain development, number one. Play is what teaches kids social interaction. Play gives kids language, communication, friends, which they need.
Yeah.
Play helps children actually emotionally regulate themselves. It gives them a personality. That's how you get to know this is a bully. This one is being bullied. This, like mine, is a peacemaker. My son is a peacemaker. He always try to listen to stories, and then it's a personality that I would not have known if it would have come from play, because he will come and tell me so and so was happening and all that. So it's about a parent looking at the world we have right now, and then having to make every decision that will positively affect their child, and then look at where do I want my child to be? How do I want the world to be for my child? How do I want my child to view the world? And then how do I support it? I don't know if it makes, so from how you choose your job. Mm-hmm. Like for me, I can't choose a full-time job because I have a child who is struggling. So I have to be half working, half at home so that I can help him with homework.
Yeah.
For a parent who doesn't struggle, whose children don't struggle with homework, they don't need to be, they can take up a full-time job. So I'm being intentional about being a parent.
Wow.
So I'm not just being selfish, I'm being intentional. When I'm looking for a place to go and stay, I have to look for an estate that has so much space. He can skate, he can ride a bike, he can play football because he's an outdoor guy. He can actually go out saa 3 arudi saa 9.
Wow.
Yes. So imagine if I was to stay in a place where I have to confide him. It's like I'm traumatizing him. So he will not explore. And like I said, play is very important, even to us adults. Mm-hmm. Play is very important because it brings out who we truly are.
Yeah.
And then also interacting with the environment just gives us different versions of what the world is. So intentional parenting starts with the choices you make as a parent, and then how do you want them to, how do you feel they're affecting your child? So if I feel like my child can watch screen up to 3 a.m. and doesn't affect me, but then in the long run it will affect you because you'll have to go for therapy.
Yeah.
Your child will have delayed milestone. And let me tell you, there are times I look at kids that I have and I feel like they want to tell me something. So they just look at me, they touch my face, they do hand leading. Hand leading is where the child comes, they pick you, and then they take you where they want to be. And sometimes it gets me emotional because I'm like, God, why can't you just make it happen? I don't know what happened.
Yes,
because sometimes parents will not tell you the truth, but then I'm like, how? It's like they want to say something, but then they are not able to. And it breaks my heart sometimes when I'm just at home alone. And right now the schools have closed, I actually miss them. I'm like, I would have. And there's a time a friend of mine asked me, how do you unasurvivaje na hao watoto wenye hawaongei the whole day? But I still talk to them. One thing I would actually tell parents is that if your child is nonverbal, it doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. It doesn't mean that they cannot actually talk, because with the time they do, if you give them the right attention and therapies, they do. So keep talking to them, because probably if I'm imagining if a child is not able to talk because there was too much interaction to screen, let's stop the screen and give them human interaction. It will come. They will learn that, oh, I have to talk back, I have to interact, I have to say the words. It has worked for us. There are kids who we had and they were not nonverbal, but right now they can actually say apple, they can say it's blue, it's green, because the just not there. So it's the intentionality. What do I want for my child? Is this decision that I'm making actually going to impact him positively or negatively? So if I'm making a point to actually have my child interact with the world, make friends and all that, it's good for human survival. Yeah. But then if I'm making the decision to have my child just stay in the house and watch TV, then there are consequences to that too, because they will not know how to interact. They will have emotion regulation issues, because kama huwezi jiregulate, it's a problem.
True.
It's actually a problem. And then I also say, I see parents give kids phones in church. Why? Then don't go to church. I used to say outside because my son could not actually. So mimi nilikuwa kato, but nasikiza nje kwa sababu I don't understand why I should give my.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you look at it deeply, you are actually teaching your child addiction. It's that they cannot survive in this environment, so I have to provide something to suit me. Yes, something to suit me. So when they are adults and you have given them that conditioning, if I'm an adult and then my parents used to give me something to cope with, I could turn into any addiction. It could be alcohol, drugs, whatever. Are you understanding? So parents don't look at things deeply like that. But then when you are intentional, you look at it on the long run. So it's about what you want and looking at the world like that. So, and there's no manual. There's no manual. You have your parenting style, I have my parenting style, but then as long as it affects the child positively, they're good to go.
Okay. Yeah. Amazing. For a minute hapo ulikuwa umeuliza, I'm not sure if what you're saying makes sense, but let me tell you, you have elaborated everything so perfectly. We don't need to add or deduct anything, and those are really critical points that I'm sure are going to shed so much light to our audience. Now, as we are winding up our today's episode, but I'm really enjoying this conversation, we may have young professionals that are coming into the industry at the moment, or maybe even people who are intrigued and feel passionate about the same thing that you do.
Yeah.
Now, give us just like a small picture. What do they need? What are the qualification points? What do they need to actually get into this space?
Okay, especially for if you want to be actually a teacher or a professional in this space, I would actually advise you go through the training, the general training system, like be able to handle a neurotypical child first. Because even them, they have, or let me say neurotypical brackets, normal kids first. So you go through the general classroom training, get to understand how you're supposed to handle children. But then for you to be able to do that, you have to be passionate about children. You cannot have anger issues. You cannot have low emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
You cannot have like anger issues when you want to deal with children, or if you do, you have to learn how to regulate yourself. So go through the system first. Be trained as a general classroom teacher. Interact with children, interact with all that. And then from that, if you feel you still need to help those who have different needs, then you can actually do it as a professional development. But just coming from nowhere and then getting into it, I feel like you will have a little bit of struggle getting into it. But it's easier starting from the general classroom teaching. And then I have people who will come to me and say, I want to open a daycare, I want to open a preschool, but then what do I need to know? So I tell them, first of all, you just need to understand children first. Wow. How do you do that? You go through the general system first. Yeah. You understand who children are. And then also understand their needs at different levels. If this is a 3-year-old children, what do we need to give them? So as an owner of a preschool or a daycare, you need to look into that. Because, I mean, if you look at the growth and development, whatever, and you look at a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, so that informs how you're supposed to craft your curriculums. So for me, it's get through the teaching system, general teaching system. And then if you feel they still need to do that, then go that. For me, I went into it because I was passionate and I needed answers. And I actually love my job. Let me tell you, I love my job. I love when I just talk to them, even if they're not talking back to me and they seem like they're not listening. I love it. It makes my days. And I know parents appreciate, they might not say it, but I know they see progress and they are comfortable for a moment. A parent is comfortable to bring the child to school every day. It means we have achieved something. Yeah. So for me, so go through the general education system, understand how to handle children, understand generally the world of children. And then if you feel you still have the need to go into attend to a child with a different need or a child on the spectrum, then you can do it as a professional development, but have the basics of what teaching is or what handling children is. Oh. Yes.
Amazing. Now, you've elaborated so perfectly how someone can get into this space and thrive. I would like you to point us to the direction of how taking this up as a career, of course, it has to come up as a passion first, as you've just said. That way, it's easier for someone to manage through. As a business opportunity, is this something that can sustain a person who takes this up throughout their life? Is it sustainable as a business and as a source of income?
Yes, it is. Education is it's for as long as there's human population, human existence, we still have education. So people still needs the information, people needs to learn, people need the skills, people need the information or the values or whatever we are actually giving them. So from a business perspective, yes, it is very lucrative, but you have to have the heart in it first. If you would wish to venture into it, I would say you actually look at what is the need that you feel you can feed. Because for me, I saw the gap. So it became the bridge. So if you look at, and this is not just in education, but I think as a business, in all business structures, you look at what you like or what you're good at. And then you try and look at, is there a need that needs to be met? Is there any other person in the industry who is meeting the need? From whatever need they are meeting, is there any gap that I feel my skill can fill it up?
Yeah.
That's how you move it as a business. And then it's sustainable. Like anything in the education industry is very sustainable. I mean, like I said, for as long as bado tuko na human population, education is still there. And for as long as bado tuko na uzazi, disability is still there.
Yeah.
And it's something we cannot control.
All right. So this brings us to the last moments of our amazing episode today. We would like to hear from you guys, our audience, if you'd like to have a part 2 of this amazing conversation with Noel, who has been such an amazing guest today. Thank you so much for tuning into Masaku Features Podcast today. Let us see you on the next one. My name is Irene Ngele, and thank you.